Where's Reid? Hey, what's up, Tuna Bites? We have missed you guys for a couple weeks. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving in the land of tuna. And as we are approaching week 13, a trade deadline is passed. Trading is closed for 2021 in tuna land, and the playoff picture is becoming more clear. Although there are still some teams fighting for the playoff spots, and then there are teams that are just looking forward to golf in the off season. So welcome in, guys. What's up?
What's up, Reid? Richard, how are you guys?
What's up, Reid? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going.
I'm trying to get my head to the same level.
It's going good. I woke up this morning, and I was kind of shocked. I mean, it said I won. I was like, that's not supposed to happen. I just gotta say. I woke up. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and just get it off. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it out there now that we brought it up and I brought it up. You know, John Mack. Okay, I made one more last trade. Okay, I put together what's left of my patchwork roster. Okay, I gave you my blessing. I said go get it, and you lost. I beat you. What you put up 103? What? I just don't. This is 2021. This is what happens. You know, you make all these trades for the future, and then you somehow it's a playoff team. I mean, pretty funny. I mean, kind of not, but it is.
Reid, you got exactly what you were projected to get, which is great. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. It's
for the first time all season. CBS gets it right. Don't call it a comeback.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean that was huge because Dwayne lost and it was like right there for John Mack, and it's like, man. Yeah. So.
No, I thought the same thing. I was kind of like, oh man, I was like, it looks. I had everything locked up by, Sunday night. So I was kind of like, John Mack he may get that wild card spot, but.
Nathan, how good of a feeling? You have to tell me because I don't really know. How good of a feeling is it when you're ahead in points and have more player minutes remaining than your opponent? What does that feel like?
It's a good feeling, but it was also a terrifying feeling because, I had Marquise Brown, and then I look over at Dwayne's team, and he's got Chubb and Mark Andrews, thanks to you. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, that's not a good, I knew I was up by about 30 anyway, so I was kind of like, it's going to have to be a pretty big game for those guys. But, I mean, Chubb's gone off a couple times this year. And Marquise Brown was just coming back from a thigh injury, so I was like, what happens if he busts? Luckily, he did not, and luckily Chubb did. So, yeah, very relieved, very relieved. Dwayne's got a good team. I'll give him all the credit in the world. He made the trades that he needed to be a good team, and I'm just thankful that I'm thankful that the Chiefs had a bye week.
It was a good week for you. You picked the wrong.
You there, Richard?
Say that again, Richard. You broke up.
Well, I mean, for probably would have had a bigger. Okay. The Chiefs have been bad all year. It probably would have been a bigger gap if you played the Chiefs.
True. I mean, Stafford had a great game, no doubt. Yeah. Deebo Samuel came through, but I mean, Tyreek Hill. Not having Tyreek Hill was pretty big for Dwayne. Cortland Sutton did nothing. Mark Andrews was fine. Jacobs actually had a really great game. And, I mean, going into our weekend matchup after the Thursday night game, Dwayne's team looked like it was sitting pretty. So I was worried, not worried. I knew my team was going to come, show up. But, I was just kind of like Dwayne's team started out strong. So luckily they were able to pull it through. I was pumped. I'm so happy to have Gronk back. So happy.
Yeah, you need him now. Yeah.
I'm glad that they flip-flopped right at the right time, right?
Well, yeah, it was. Man, there's a lot of things from this week we definitely can talk about. I think, yeah, Nathan, you and Dwayne, that was definitely the game of the week, and division playoff implications. I don't think, obviously I mentioned John Mack losing. So now still Dwayne sits as the playoff standings. He still sits as getting in as the wild card, and John Mack is still there. But that was a tough loss because he's losing to me, and that's not what you want to do in 2021. So, that was tough for him. And then, PC, talk about close to winning, won by a point, and especially after Bruce. Bruce is that team. He made some trades like for the future, but like he's still hanging around, and so that's a very, like I said, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, very interesting. With that division and what Bruce did,
that's crazy.
And obviously we've kind of piled on Aaron and just joking about that division, but PC got the win. He still looks like he's the favorite, to win and go to the playoffs, obviously with that division. But it was a close game. And the other person that we have to mention, and he'll want me to mention it because he's pumped, and he's not technically out now. He's pretty much just got to win out. But Daryl, I got to give the guy, I got to give him credit. The guy's like come out this year, and he's just, he's been great. Gosh, I wish I could have the running backs he's had just to go off like they have. It's been, who doesn't love a running back gets 5 touchdowns the next week? My other running back got 4 touchdowns. It's like, it's crazy. So, I give him credit, and he's not dead. So, his chances are slim, with the teams ahead of him, but he's not out of it. So, and he's got some things in his, in front of him, like playing Dwayne again. So, and John Mack lost. So that keeps them in it. So that's something just interesting to watch here. As we roll on and get down to the last couple of weeks of the regular season. So you guys had any other thoughts from this week? Anything that kind of stuck out, or maybe even just players, maybe just some of the stuff that happened with some of the players this week?
Yeah.
Lots of injuries.
I think I'm going in and out.
I think you are too, Richard.
Yeah.
So let me just get this in, and then we can move on. This week was super interesting for me, and I apologize if this is hard to hear on the audio, but
your audio.
It's really interesting just because one, and I missed a little bit because it cut out, but the fact that Dwayne and John Mack both lost, opening the door for Daryl to kind of inch a little bit closer to possibly getting back into the wild card race is just fascinating to me. On top of that, just having Reid, you winning, inching, like as far as like looking, I'm looking at next year at this point, right? So looking at next year, I'm like tied for the 3rd overall pick potentially, and you getting one closer for me as far as wins just makes it closer to where it's the draft can change in the next couple weeks. I don't know. It's just super interesting and how that looks. So I was just surprised by all of it.
Richard, you were excited. You saw that I won, and you thought, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can lose to Reid now, and I can move my draft stock up.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was
thinking. It is kind of, we talked about the bottom feeders, like some of the variation. Of course, Aaron sold like almost the entire house that Aaron scoring whatever he scored, 56 points it was like par for the course. Yeah. I've never seen a team lay down so low, but no, between me, you, Donald, even, Josh has 5 wins, but he's, so any of those kinds, those teams in the bottom, there's a lot of fluctuation with those teams, depending on how the finish is here, especially with all the trades and the top, heavy teams that are there. We've talked, there's always injuries. We talk about it every year, but man, I just this year has been just, I don't know, it's been crazy. I mean, there's guys have been hurt, re-hurt. So, I mean, just injuries continue to pile on, and um, I think that the teams. I mean, I think a lot of teams had to make trades this year because it wasn't just, oh, hey, somebody made a move, I've got to, you're trying to finish out your roster spots, but honestly, I just think just depth. I mean, we talked about that before the season, having depth. How that can be really important. But this year, you wanted to have as many guys as you can have that you can insert into the starting lineup because just so many injuries. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, then other guys that got, banged up. I mean, Debo had that game, but now he's out for 1 to 2 weeks. And Darren Waller, DeAndre Swift. I mean, it was just like on and on and on. And I think that has most definitely contributed to, I think, our overall scoring being down from week to week. I mean, we've had some of the good teams score, but I mean, usually when you have teams like we have with a kind of a top heavy with like a lot of teams loaded up, usually you're seeing scores, 150 to 170 easily between those top teams. And like this last week, I mean, Daryl had 150. That was the high. So, it's just, I think between all the injuries of players, and then not to mention, we haven't even talked about how many bad games all the fantasy quarterbacks have had this year. Every one of them have had clunker games, and the quarterback play has kind of been down fantasy wise. So it's just been crazy, trying to keep up, and it's just been wild. I mean, that's why you get me beating John Mack this last week when John Mack was hot, it just,
No, it's definitely been wild to see. I mean, just looking at everybody's teams, everybody has suffered some type of injury. Obviously Jonathan with McCaffrey, aka Mr. Glass. And then, you've got, I mean, even my team, Chase Edmonds is out for, he's out there 3 to 4 weeks. Kamara's been out for 3 weeks. Obviously I traded for, we'll get into that in a minute, but I traded, for Hopkins, and he's been injured. Is he coming back? Kyler Murray's been hurt for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So it's like my team, I'm so glad that I've had the depth. And I wouldn't have had that depth if I hadn't traded. I probably would have been dead in the water weeks ago if I had not made some trades early on. And I'm thankful for that. But it's still been just like absolutely insane, the amount of injuries that are just piling up on people, playoff teams. I mean, you look at my team, I've got some guys that are possibly coming back, not guaranteed. Darren Waller's out. Jonathan's got, McCaffrey. Dwayne's got DeAndre Swift and Debo Samuel, 2 of his best players. John Mack, does John Mack have any major injuries?
Well, he's had Barkley and Gibson have been
Barkley
banged
and
up.
Gibson, right. Who've just kind of been inconsistent with their injuries, but they've been injured.
And
so.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. And then, PC with what's his name?
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Aaron Jones and
Robinson.
Yeah. I mean, it's every team. It's every team is gonna have. It really may come down to the championship. May come down to who can come back and who's healthy, which is crazy to think because, like you said, Reid, like usually you see 170-point games and stuff like that. Like, have we even seen one of those this year? Like
earlier in the season, I think we had maybe a few, maybe.
Yeah.
This season feels like it's the who can survive the injuries week to week, That's what it feels like. I don't know if that's different every year, but this year specifically, that's what I've noticed. Is like Jonathan lost Christian McCaffrey this week and he still won. Like he survived an injury that significant. And that's what it feels like this year is if you can survive an injury week with the other pieces around your team, then you did all right. Like I'm the complete opposite. I was not, surviving the injuries. And so but that's what it feels like this year, just to kind of go along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I have the playoff bracket pulled up.
Playoff bracket and consolation seeds.
What I'm interested is that no one has clinched a division title yet.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Normally, we're getting into these last few games and they're clinched. Well, at least one is clinched.
Jonathan can this week if he hasn't already clinched.
He hasn't. He can. Yeah, he can absolutely.
He can this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's everybody's
playing the valiant Reid, I think.
No, you and I are playing. You and I are playing each other.
Are we playing this week?
Oh, yeah, and probably like the most
toilet bowl.
Yeah. Hey, I have some thoughts on that, Richard. I just had something that's kind of ironic to the season, but I'll wait to share that. But I think it's really Jonathan, Nathan. I feel comfortable. I mean, I know PC's not clinched, but I feel comfortable in him moving on, especially since he gets to play Aaron again. But then you've got like Dwayne, John Mack, and Daryl still alive. So I mean, those are kind of the three teams that I think are fighting for that that wild card spot. I know it's not clinched and official, but I mean, just kind of the way things have been going this year and looking at the teams, I think that's really kind of where there's a battle there. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be at least one great team. We'll see how Daryl finishes, but at least one great team that's going to be left out, the playoffs, which we've had that before, but that's a tough place to be. But that's where it's coming down to. And it is so, I mean, everybody's roster keeps shifting from week to week. And I think it's been hard for, getting consistency with injuries and then just the amount of dud games. I mean, like last night, DK Metcalf, 2 points. I mean, it was like, you got guys just like getting games where you're just like, oh, I thought they were going to be awesome. And then they just come and have a clunker game. And so there's just been a lot of variation, with week to week, which makes PC going undefeated that much more, crazy, to happen because, between injuries and just clunker games and just, it's so hard to do. And it's also very hard, as we've seen, it's very hard for a team to like not win a game, even if you're bad, because we've seen so many teams are like, oh, they're going to get creamed. And then they like put up a huge game or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay. So.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting from here on out. I actually looked, I'm proud of Daryl too. So I looked at Daryl's schedule and he actually plays me. And then he plays Dwayne, and then he plays Josh. So I mean, he would have to win all of those, and that's a tough task. But if he does it, gosh darn it, he deserves that playoff spot, and I hope he goes the distance, unless it's against me. But no, it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, lots of variety this past week. Interesting stat that I saw was Dwayne was actually on a 5-game winning streak, and this is his first loss. So, just you're welcome, Dwayne. Just proud of myself and my team for coming together, and just taking that from you. We'll see each other again. We got one more game.
You got to restart your win streak, right?
That's right. You got to restart it.
Well, since we didn't have a show last week and we had the trade deadline. Let's talk about some of the trade deadline deals and just the last kind of bit of movement on that front. So Nathan and Richard, you guys made a deal. I made a deal with PC. I don't know. Did I miss any? Was there another deal? Maybe. Well, I guess Dwayne and Dwayne, you and Dwayne made a deal as well. Since the last time we kind of had our show.
McLaurin and so he got Andrews. Dwayne got Andrews. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that trade, I was like, okay, that was the last piece Dwayne needed, and of course Richard was, very defensive and I told you all I was going to do this. But I knew it. I was like, man, that's the last piece
exactly
Dwayne needed. That's the last piece Dwayne needed. So, Dwayne's got a very complete team now. Yeah. So then you got let's see, what was the trade after that? Mark Andrews.
So Justin Jefferson to Jonathan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah. Okay.
That's
Sorry, I missed
where
that one.
So we missed week 11 and 12 for our trade analysis.
Okay. Justin Jefferson. Yeah, that was a big get for Jonathan. As soon as I saw that trade, I was kind of like, man, that's just, he's loading up.
I'm jealous. 100% jealous.
Yeah, he's got good keeper potential and he's balling, so we'll see how that all shakes out for Jonathan long term. But I mean, on the outside looking in, it's a good trade.
Yeah, it's really a trade he had to make. His receiving core. He traded with me for Antonio Brown, and hasn't worked out so far.
Does he still have Russell Gage on his squad? When he drafted 3 wide receivers in the draft.
Well, hey, he needed to make the move, and I mean the fact that he didn't have to, trade, any players, any of his star players. That was, I mean, last year when he made a trade with Josh, it was like draft picks and it was like Antonio Gibson and some other, some players in there. This time it wasn't. So I was surprised that Josh just, gave up Jefferson just for the draft picks. Just because, I mean, Jefferson, being young and kind of being with where Josh is at with his roster that he did it. But, it's Jonathan had to have it. I mean, he needed to have it, especially, I mean, Metcalf, been all over the place and, not having, Brown, he has to wait for Brown coming back and we might be back this week, but yeah, so it was a trade Jonathan needed to make, really with his roster, where it was at. So, hey, kudos to him to get that kind of trade. I mean, there wasn't many receivers, better. I mean, other than like Tyreek Hill and those to get that, is going to make that kind of impact. So that was definitely a good get. Dwayne, same thing. He tight end, which is just, of course, always abysmal aside from the few. So that was good for him. And then PC and I made a trade, and before I think we made a trade before you guys made a trade. So I mean he needed a quarterback. This was not a good week for Lamar Jackson and even McLaurin. McLaurin didn't even have a real good game this week either. But obviously that was 2 pieces he needed. He needed a quarterback and he needed another receiver with Robert Woods going down. And so I mean we'll see. I mean is it going to help him to get back-to-back championship, or is it going to still fall short?
Did you guys see my comment on your trade?
Yeah, I did. I saw. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Could have had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll just say this. I mean, I'm not, the last 2 championship teams had Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. So, it was kind of like I threw it out there to PC and it's like you need a quarterback again. So it's like, you want to make that deal? We'll make that deal. And I was like, and McLaurin. Yeah. So, obviously I was looking to next year and if it helps him, great. And and then you guys made a trade, just Nathan to shore up some depth and Richard to get some extra draft capital and the keeper deal. So
yeah, it made sense. I had Kamara who's still dealing with, his knee injury. I had Mixon obviously and Eckler, but I just kind of was thinking long term, then I had, let's see, Brown was hurt, Hollywood Brown was hurt, and CeeDee Lamb had been hurt a little bit and kind of bouncing back and forth. And so I made that trade with Bruce for Mixon and Diggs, which, I really like Mixon and he's really just turned the corner this season. So I liked his potential and getting him on board. So we made that trade.
You got him back.
Yeah, got him back essentially from when I had him before. He's playing much better. I thought he deserved a roster spot back on the squad. He had to earn it though. You kind of sometimes have to let something go if you love it, and if it loves you too, it'll come back when it's meant to be. So we made that trade.
Sell low and buy high.
That's right. So no, but then Dwayne made that trade for Mark Andrews. PC was loading up Terry McLaurin and Lamar Jackson. Jonathan had just gotten Justin Jefferson. And so I'm sitting there looking at my team and I'm like, listen, I've already given away pretty much all of my draft. I'm like, why am I going to this is crunch time. Am I going to sit on the sidelines and hope that everybody else stays healthy? Because, if Kamara's out and then, if Mixon or Eckler get hurt, then what? Oh, Adrian Peterson, I don't care. I paid $50 for him. He's a bum. And he's cut. So, so I was like, just looking at it from the full scale. And Hopkins is great. And, for those that don't know the full details of me and Richard's trade, Richard gets to pick, from Pittman, Waller, Hollywood Brown, or Hopkins as a keeper as part of our trade. So he not only gets the picks, but he also gets one of those guys to go into next season, which I felt like, offering him that trade, I felt like, one, he's already out of the playoff hunt and has already pretty much said, hey, I want picks. So I was kind of looking at it from that angle of, hey, I would like to have more depth. Here's some picks, but also some incentive on the back end that says, hey, you want Hopkins back? You can have him. You want a young guy like Michael Pittman? You can have him. Do you want to have two elite tight ends in Mark Andrews and Waller? There you go. You can have both of them. Hollywood Brown, has been killing it with Lamar Jackson. So I felt, when I offered that trade to Richard, I was like, I felt that it was a good trade. Richard was on board. I'll let him tell his side of it, but it definitely helped my team out.
Yeah, that I like the trade overall. The keeper potential for trading away DeAndre Hopkins was the only concern. But then when you put that portion out on it, it was like, all right, done deal. And I was pretty quick on the draw, I feel, to get the trade done. So, and I expressed the last Tuna Buzz that, my draft with stock was not looking very nice, and so I knew I needed to fix that. And so being able to trade with Dwayne and yourself definitely helped that. So I appreciate both of you. Pleasure doing business. The French Boutique did well this year.
Reciprocated, Richard. 10 out of 10 would recommend. If you haven't traded with Richard, which I don't think there's anybody left in the league that hasn't, but get in on the ground floor. It's great. He will listen. He will listen. And sometimes he'll make you feel stupid if you hadn't traded with him. And vice versa.
Well, yeah, it's next year. I mean, we'll have some upcoming episodes to talk, as trading is done, and we'll kind of be looking at, next year. I mean, gosh, with all the when trading opens back up and we get ready for the draft, and we can unpack in another episode just the ramifications of all the draft pick trading and the keepers, and because that in itself is going to just in general be fascinating for the league next year, because there was more trading than we've ever had, more draft picks that have been traded than we've ever had. And so the comical thing about it is that, because scoring has been down and everything, we're not seeing the effect that, we thought, we're going to see, but, so that'll be something that we'll definitely talk about as we get to the end of the season and look ahead. Oh, Richard, you're pulling up our glorious matchup. Richard, I just want to say that here's what's really funny.
I didn't make a change because apparently Aaron Rodgers is going to be out.
His toe, man. He's got that toe.
Yeah. Hey, put in Kirk Cousins and just hope that he doesn't line up behind the wrong person this week.
I have a buddy that's been talking about that. He's been, because everybody gives Kirk Cousins such a hard time, and so they've been saying to him like this whole time. He's been saying this whole time. He's like, what do you guys have to say about Kirk Cousins now? And then that happened last week.
You like that?
Pretty humorous.
Richard, here's what I thought was funny when I kind of was like looking at things this week because I had, another hurt player, AJ Brown, thank you very much, and another bye week guy. And I looked at who I was starting against Richard, and it's like, wow, I'm starting two guys that Richard drafted, and OBJ and Ayuk against Richard. This is how wacky this season is. I'm like, wasn't the plan, but it's like, oh, okay. Oh.
That's too funny.
You know what it is. Hey, I hope they do really nice for you.
I do too, Richard. I'm really hoping that I get my revenge on you this week. You beat me early in the season and really just hurt me early on. There was a lot of pain. Well, most of the season has been pain, but starting 0-5 was very, very hard.
Yeah, I'd say so. Can't relate though.
I'm gonna fix my kicker.
Nathan, isn't it time for you to go? Like, don't you?
It normally is. You're right. We started the show so late. It's almost my bedtime. I know it's Richard's bedtime.
Yeah.
I know. Your bedtime.
Yeah, man. Early to bed, early to rise.
Yeah, Richard, this is a toilet bowl. We don't have to really dwell on this game. I was just kind of wanted to note that was just thought it was comical that.
That is funny.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys,
with the delay, I'm just gonna kind of let you guys talk, and I'll just drive the machine here.
All right, Richard. Well, let's go on. Let's move on to another. There we go. Wow, Daryl.
Is the delay bad? Is it still bad? Speak, Richard.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes or 5 seconds. Excuse me.
Oh, 5 seconds.
It's
okay.
like wow.
I haven't set my official lineup. I've still got a lot of guys that are questionable. This could all change. Let's not get caught up in this. All right.
The Daryl hype train. Yes.
Hey, Reid, what's today?
High scorer.
What's today? Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, my dudes. All right. Injury chart doesn't even come out till tomorrow. Yeah. We're talking about practice. Come on, man. You looking at this on Tuesday? Come on, get out of here.
Well, sometimes that's actually when you get devastating news. You're like a Wednesday, you're feeling good, and all of a sudden it's like, what? He's hurt?
Yeah. He practiced the first 2 days, but actually he's out now. It's like, what?
Oh. Well, hey, this is Daryl. This is must win for Daryl because I'm just going to say this. Jonathan Taylor has the late bye next week, so he's got to win this week. So
he's got to win this week. Jonathan Taylor's playing Houston and Fournette's playing Atlanta. Come on, man. What a cake running back schedule you got right there.
What a matchup. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say anything more about it, just that I'm looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah. When you're the best, one of the best, Jonathan's got the better record, okay? He's got the better record. I'm still number one power ranking. But Jonathan's got the better record. All right, he's got the number one seed right now. But when you're near the top, everybody gives you your best shot. That's what Nick Saban said this week to all the fans. Everybody gives us the best shot. Okay, so that's what I'm expecting. And Daryl, and if he wins, I'm gonna get a lot of crap from him because I give him a lot of crap all the time. He could have cashed in Jonathan Taylor. He could have cashed him in for Buco bucks. I made a good trade offer. I know other people did. But here he is, lingering.
I was told to get in line.
I was told the same, and I still made offers. Please give me a running back.
Yes. Well, yeah. I'll save my comments about Daryl not trading Jonathan Taylor for another episode. I have a whole segment, guys, on guys that were not traded and looking ahead, but I'll save it. So
that reminds me, I got to drop the Houston Texans defense this week.
Derrick Henry. put Derrick Henry to Jonathan a week prior to his injury on that list.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, man, this is a good week right here, Bruce and PC. I mean, this is like Bruce's last stand, and like if he's got any shot and hope, it's this week. And PC, you're holding on, man. You're holding on, and he's going to this basically. He can wrap up the division this week. So this is well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Dalvin Cook's out. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I mean,
I think he has. Does he have Madison? I think he has Madison.
Yeah, he does. I looked at
Okay.
it. He's the hot hand. I was going to try and scoop it up, but
yeah,
he's all over that. Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
They got their bye week. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, Bruce, if you're watching this, all right, you may have the opportunity to play spoiler. Your season's not done yet, okay?
Oh,
never give up, never surrender.
That's right. That's why I'm going for the consolation playoffs, Richard. It's mine.
But since we just said that, sorry, Bruce. Anytime we go against PC, that's when he wins biggest. So.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. What's the next one, Richard? Here we're gonna go a little rapid fire. I'm sure there's another game here nobody wants to talk about like ours. Or watch.
We
want in-depth analysis on Donald and Aaron.
Let's go, Donald.
Hey, guys, I have a joke. You guys ready? What did Cam Newton say to the bench?
What?
I'm back. I'm back.
Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 completions. Oh gosh, Aaron. Yeah. Oh yeah. What do I say about this game, Aaron? Just finishing out the season. I mean, even your keepers, Aaron. They've had some clunker weeks. I'm just like, wow, is Aaron going to break 60 points this week? I mean, talk about futility. I mean, oh geez.
Yeah. Pitts, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, both great young guys.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have great careers, and Aaron's, get 2 good keepers there. I just think that Atlanta needs to get some other weapons because pretty much they know that's what they're going for.
Sure.
Jamar Chase has still been great. I love Jamar Chase. He's been awesome to watch. We get a lot of Bengals games up here, and they're kind of my second team. Not really, obviously Bucks first always, but I see a lot of their games and kind of root for them since they're in the AFC, and yeah, he's fun to watch. But yeah, Donald should win this, and if Donald doesn't, then Donald should be shamed. Pretty ugly.
Yeah. Oh, well, real in-depth analysis at this time of the year for those 2 teams. You like how that shifts. Oh yeah. Well, Jonathan can finish it out, and John Mac's got to have it. So
this is a must win. Must win.
I mean, Jonathan, of course, CMC final nail in the coffin for his season, and Richard. Sometimes we're gonna have to have Jonathan on the show here and just be like, going back, how do you feel owning Christian McCaffrey over the last year?
Yeah, we need to get Jonathan on the show. I'm surprised he hasn't been on the show.
Well, it just hasn't worked out on timeline. Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan, you're available. We'll try to get
you
he
was
here.
On last year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have to get him on for sure. But yeah, I mean,
Gibson had a good game last week, and he's. I think that this is going to be very intriguing. It's going to be a very intriguing game.
Yeah, we'll have to. You say something, Richard?
He's on Tuna Buzz as often as Christian McCaffrey's on the
field. Well, listen, at least for Jonathan, he's got, the unicorn and Cordero Patterson, and
I said he's on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, he's got this guy that, you know, whatever, 31-year-old who broke out and has become a running back.
That may be. I mean, I'm not. There's been a lot of really good waiver wire pickups this year, but that may be the best waiver wire pickup of all time.
Yeah, well, gosh, I mean, to have that kind of
So
eligibility,
good.
and I mean, thankfully for him that he's got them, and we'll have to watch. Daryl Henderson picked up a quad injury, so we'll just have to watch this week just to make sure he's going to be playing, and I assume he will be, but you know, well, that'll be something to watch, and obviously for Jonathan, Antonio Brown awaiting his return. So, but yeah, John Mack. Yeah, this is gonna be a good game. There's gonna some good games this week. I mean, we could have 2 divisions. Well, we could have 3 divisions wrapped up all this week potentially. So, and that's John Mack's got to have it. So,
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, man, that's tough. I don't like to say.
Who knew that Jonathan, who has Christian McCaffrey and Ezekiel Elliott, would not be playing them, but instead 2 random running backs from the waiver wire?
Yeah. If you had said week 1, like you're like, yeah, going into the playoffs, you'll have Cordarrelle Patterson and Darrell Henderson as your 2 running backs. I think everybody would be like, oh. Here they are, balling. Somebody's got ball because the Rams aren't balling other than.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad. I don't like the Rams very much. So.
Going all out.
That's right.
All right, which we got. Oh yeah. Well, you know, Dwayne, all I gotta say is, you know, Josh trades away Justin Jefferson, and he like puts up 160, and then puts up another great week last week. It's like, you know, Josh, like
this season doesn't make sense.
Josh, listen, Josh. I think of Josh. You know what, Josh? You had a horrific draft experience, and then you had running backs injured, and you are putting me to shame right now with you with what you're putting out there. Josh mocks me, and he just goes out there and puts up these big games, and I'm just over here like, hey. Oh,
truly is bizarre. DeAndre Swift's got to be questionable. He's got to be questionable.
Yeah,
they said the groin injury was 1 or 2 weeks or something like that.
I'll be surprised if he plays this week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he does, he'll be limited. And Sutton, gosh, he's disappeared. So,
well, he's like fifth in targets on the team.
Yeah.
Like,
it's been weird.
I was like, what? He's supposed to be like the lead dog.
Yeah, Dwayne, yeah, you got to have it too. So, you know.
That's Zach Ertz versus Mark Andrews. I mean, especially if Kyler's back.
Darnell Mooney. I mean, he had a.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a good game. A divisional rivalry, you know.
Yeah, especially with Dwayne having Debo out. I mean, he gets Hill back.
That's a big thing. If Swift is out and Debo's out, oh man, Dwayne's gonna have to hope for the upswing on the Kansas City Chiefs this week.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, maybe I don't know if do you guys know if they've given Debo the same eligibility as Patterson, running back eligibility?
No, not that I've looked into. I don't know.
No idea.
Because I mean, they honestly if they haven't, they should, because Debo's getting enough carries and a factor in the run game. I feel like with Patterson, they should give him that eligibility. That's going to be another thing we can talk about. I think that may be changing next year. I think maybe the way that, you know, some of these CBS, ESPN do the eligibility stuff, because, you know, you've got 2 players that play wide receiver and are lining up in the backfield more often than, you know, just like the occasional receiver who gets 1 or 2, you know, jet sweeps or whatever. So that's going to be something interesting next year, because I think that's going to have to be reevaluated. You know, how they give that eligibility.
No doubt. No doubt. I'm going to go. Okay, I'll say this. If Debo's out and DeAndre Swift's out, I'm going Jonathan. Or, Josh. Sorry, Josh. I'm going Josh. If DeAndre Swift is in, I'm going to go Dwayne.
I don't know. I pick against Josh, and Josh just could defies what So it's like if I pick against Josh, I feel like what's happening? Like, oh, I mean, I expect Dwayne to win, but I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised if Josh wins. It just,
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Injuries, man. It's amazing how somebody's outlook changes dramatically over 1 week because of injuries.
It does.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I mean,
live and die by the injuries.
Well, and you look at running back, that position. I mean, part of it this year now is just who are the guys that are like healthy and they've kind of risen to the top. I mean, they've played well, but this time last year, Nathan, you made your recent trade for Mixon. This time last year, Mixon was like, hurt, didn't come back. People thought he was going to come back. Nobody wanted him. It's like, who wants Mixon? Now he's one of the top because he's played well and he stayed healthy and there's been a ton of injuries. So, it's funny how that changes, from season to season. So,
yeah. And the Bengals just are so more wide open. Their passing options have gotten a little bit better, and having Burrow's big, but yeah, I'm thrilled with how Mixon's been playing and hopefully it continues. I would love to get Kamara back. It would be awesome to have all three running backs going into the playoffs. Three-headed monster, that was always my dream when I had Derrick Henry and Kamara and Mixon, years ago, and then Mixon kind of fizzled out, and Henry didn't have a great year that year. He was good, but not great. But we'll see how it all shakes out. There's nothing that is definite in fantasy football, that is for sure.
No, and Tuna Bites, I'm gonna, we're gonna kind of deep dive a little bit as we get kind of more to the end of the season. About just, next year and just maybe some things to kind of look out for, and even just because there's a lot that this year there's a lot to unpack, especially since this year they added the extra 18th game, and so I think that it's going to impact as we kind of, we get through the rest of this season and we go into next season. Just looking at a lot of players and keepers and, how we assemble our teams and, because it's been, that the funny thing about it is, guys, is that like everybody would make a big trade and it's like, my team, it's complete. And then it was like injury. Oh. It's like everyone make a trade and something happens and you're just like, oh.
It's like, make another trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All
right, Tuna Bites. Well, I think that's all we got for today. And so, man, 3 weeks left of the regular season. And, we'll see next week who maybe clinch some divisions and just the rest of this playoff hunt here. And so always good. And best of luck to everybody out there. And even you, basement dwellers, don't quit. Don't quit.
Don't quit.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
We'll catch you later.
Sounds good, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.